Hi everyone. You might have seen maybe a month or two ago, I did a very short whistle stop tour of my Notion workspace, and a few people have since mentioned that they would like to see a little bit more in detail. And I've also massively expanded how I use Notion since then. So I just want to start off by saying everything I know about Notion, everything that I've learned about the platform, I've learned from Marie Poulin. So I will link her channel in the newsletter and also below in the description because she has really been the person that's taught me the most about Notion. So I can't really take credit for any of while I haven't used many kind of templates, I have learned a lot, and I can't take, none of this is like original, my ideas. It's just whatever has worked for me in my business. You may know that recently my partner Craig joined the business, so there are two of us now. But I still think he uses Notion with the task allocation section and he uses the CRM, but he doesn't use it to the full extent that I use it. So I'm going to go through some of the pages. I'll have to blur out some information because it's confidential, but for those of you who don't know, Notion is a workspace. It's like an all-in-one project management, CRM, task management, everything kind of tool, content management. It's kind of everything that you could really need for your business. It's like Asana, it's like Trello, but much, much better. And I'm going to go through why. So this is my main home section. It's very, very simple. So I'm just going to click into agendas and notes. Obviously here on the left-hand side, you can see as well the sections and the subsections within there. This is the section that I use the most that Craig doesn't really use because it's kind of set up for me, to be honest. I've talked about in the newsletter in the past about my love for productivity and how I have found it to be a bit dangerous with regards to my mental health. So this has been the best setup for me. I don't stick to this like glue because if I do, it becomes like a bit obsessive. So I just try to use it as a guide most days. If one day of the week goes by and I haven't always log into Notion, but if I haven't filled out every single detail within my daily journal, it's not a drama. That's my attitude that I'm trying to take. So I have a weekly agenda, a daily agenda. I mean, I should really put daily above. Daily, weekly, and monthly. These are all linked within themselves. So at the moment, this is the current week, the week commencing the 21st of September. The filter is the way that this is set up is that I'm currently just filtering by this week. So I could show you a past week and it would just show you the days for the 24th of August. So I'm not going to go on to how to set this up because you can watch Marie's videos for that. And I'm not, she's an amazing teacher and I'm not ever going to be able to explain it anywhere near as good as well as she is. So on Monday of this week, you can see that I didn't fill it all out. So maybe it's better to go back to last week or the week before so I can show you maybe a properly filled out week. So you can see here is a typical day which is actually worked out where I've actually filled out every single section. The date, the week that it's linked to. So this is the relational database. So this is linked to the week database, and I'll show you what that looks like in a minute. It's also linked to the month, so I can look at the way that I want it to be is so that I can look at a month as a snapshot, a week as a snapshot, and a day as a snapshot, and I don't have to do things twice. So I don't have to put in. If I went to a meeting in on today, 22nd of September, I want that meeting to be available to read the notes on today's post, the week's post, the month's post, but then also the client's CRM page on any kind of information about the client. I want it to be linked to there. I want it to be linked to the task database. So if there are tasks that come out of that meeting, I want it to link there. And that's kind of why Notion is so good. And I think you can't get this with any other platform because yes, you could create tasks, but you couldn't then link the tasks to the CRM, to the daily journal, to the monthly journal, to the weekly journal, to the meeting note calendar, to anything. So I kind of go through that in a better way. So this is an example of a good day. I've got a priority. This is just literally a text box. I'll put in the priority for the day. At the end of the day, I try to put in 3 words. I put in if I've done any exercise. So this is where Notion for me crosses into personal, and I do put in things like gratitudes and wins and challenges because then at the end of the month and then ideally at the end of the year, I will be able to look at those things. And this is one thing I've learned from Marie, and it's so helpful to be able to go back and look at highlights for like a whole month. So I can look at all of August's highlights. And as somebody who's often dragged down and maybe prone to depressive kind of episodes like myself, it's amazing to have that to be able to look back on. So Every day I'm putting in that if I'm reading, so I'll go into my reading list later, but that's also a place, I mean, that was a novel, but sometimes I just put in Medium articles or podcasts. It's kind of reading, but it's not just reading, it's listening as well. Tasks, so those are the tasks that I didn't didn't necessarily complete on that day, but are associated with that day. So I either started them or I completed them or I made progress with them. Gratitude, this is where it kind of becomes more personal again. Gratitude wins. I did a 5K on that day. Challenges. I find it really hard to stay focused. LinkedIn theme. So you might know that I run a LinkedIn toolkit, which is a monthly membership, and every week or so there's a theme. So that theme of that week was actually, it was a webinar week. So this is another relational database, and that takes me into look. If I clicked on that, I will be able to look at the dates, the actual webinar details. Inbound leads, obviously didn't get any on that day, and then the meetings that I attended. So on that day, I attended 2 client meetings. Normally, I would put in the newsletter topic as well, but for whatever reason, I haven't put the newsletter topic. So this is all. So essentially, if I create a new day, it generates this new those new fields, and I can then just fill them in as each day goes by. So what I want it to be is I want it to be like minimal maintenance but maximum impact within the week. So I'm having a bit of a watermelon theme in September. So if I just go on this week, you can see these are the days of the week. This is the month. At the end of the week, I'll go in and measure effectiveness. And I might say that I felt really effective or I felt like I didn't achieve much. Newsletter topic for that week. Websites that I worked on that week. So if I've did any web design projects that I've worked on, meetings that took place in that week. And again, I'm not manually putting this in every time. This is actually being pulled in from relational databases. So I've got a separate database for my meeting calendar, and I will associate it to a day in a week, and it'll come through on here. I'll show you that in a minute. And tasks, obviously this week I have not been keeping up with actual task management with regards to allocation. I have actually been doing tasks, but I haven't been managing them in there. So normally my tasks for that week would come up, and I suspect if I open a past week, here we go. A past week, you've got tasks, and these are some of the tasks. So, and then a monthly review. Again, it's a similar thing. So take a step back again, look at the month. So I'll go to August. I pick a picture from that month as the header, and then the days of that month. And by using the relational database, which is the days of the month, the weeks of the month, and the meeting calendar, these are the 3 main databases except for the master task list, you can create these roll-ups. So a roll-up is essentially I don't know, I'm not very good at explaining things, which I run it for copywriter, but it takes the data from one section of a database. So this is the roll-up from highlights from August. So that is actually like a list of all the days, the wins, sorry, not the highlights, the wins from the days. So that's a list of all the wins. So if I was feeling a bit down, I could say, I don't have to manually input that because I did that every single day. And it's essentially taken every little bit of information and just putting it into one place. Challenges. So I can look back on August and think, clearly my problem was focus, which I think is everyone's problem at the minute, and time. So that's maybe something that I want to think about. And again, roll-ups for gratitude. Obviously, only 2 days of filtering my gratitude, but normally it would be in there. And that total revenue and total profit will pull through from the CRM. Obviously, it's not right now. And September will do the same thing when it's complete. So the last part of the agenda and notes section is the meeting notes. So we're currently on August for some reason, but today just accidentally put a meeting in the wrong day. Every single time I attend a meeting, obviously they're all virtual at the moment, I will go on the day, I will press the little plus. This is a new meeting, so I'll put in here the client name, client. I will put in who's attending, if it's just me, Craig, or both. Normally, I mean, I'm the only one who uses this, so me or me and Craig. The client, and this is linked to the CRM. So if I do that, it'll come up with a drop down of all my clients, and I will associate with them, which means that when it comes to the billing period at the end of the month, I can look back and say, wow, I actually attended like 4 meetings for that client. What was that all about? And, charge them accordingly. Focus, which is what was the point of the meeting. Again, I can look back at the end of the month and think, it seems like we had a lot of meetings about that one focus, so let's reassess that. Actions from the meeting. This is linked to master task list. So when I write an action in here, so it might be like blog post about whatever, and it will I can create a post in the master task list. So this is like, woo, because this will create an action this will create a task in the task list linked to this meeting. So then it can be reallocated. So if that blog post needs to be written by myself or Craig, then it becomes a task in our backlog of tasks. Day of the meeting, week of the meeting, month of the meeting, this is the information that I put in that will then associate it with the day. So I'm hoping that makes sense. That's kind of like a bit messy to explain, but it's super tidy in my head. And the best way I can explain for you to get your head around it is to watch Marie's videos and start with the master task list, because that was the big main thing. The master task database was the thing that really changed my approach to Notion. And then the daily journal, the weekly agenda, and the monthly review came after that. It took a little while to set up. I did it on like a weekend because I really enjoyed doing it. But now that it's set up, it's very template driven, and I get a lot out of it compared to what time I need to put into maintaining it. So the next thing I've got is client work. Purpose of this page, I look at web design and I look at content copywriting projects, and these are the three kinds of services that I provide. So web design, there's some pricing information in there. So say Craig was approaching a client, he would be able to look at this and say this is the pricing structure. There's some hosting details in there, and there's also web design projects not started, in progress, and complete. So this is really useful if I get a new website, new website project. This is a template that I created using this template button. Again, watch Marie's videos for that. And I will put in the website, so it'll be like client, and status, obviously it's not done yet, so not started. Priority, a super high priority. That's my personal assessment of it. Is it a brochure site or an e-commerce? So say it's e-commerce. When is it due? I don't know, like end of October, say. And then that's going to owner of, normally it would be me if it's websites, client, and then if it's an existing client, it will link to them. If it's not, I can actually add a new entry into the CRM from here. Is there a dev site? So that's a hyperlink. Is it related to any tasks in the database? If not, do there need to be any created? So I could here create dev site, wireframe, those kinds of things. Sign contract, brand guidelines, logo files, whatever. And then weekly, that should say like week. And this is the template area. So because I've got a template set up, it automatically pulls through color codes, wireframe. There's nothing in here, but it means that when we are creating a new web design project, these are the things that I need before anything. So those are the things I'll go away and create. So I'll do that later, but essentially that's me setting up a new web design project. Back to client work, content and copywriting is not as tidy. I've got retainers and I've got some content ideas, and that's essentially a brain dump for content ideas for clients. So let's go into the master task list. This is huge, and it's only because I have created views of the task database. So everything that needs to be done, I just go on all tasks. I never look at it like this, but it's all listed, and obviously these aren't filtered so you can see complete tasks. So what I have done is I've created views for every client, and the big one that I really care about is Ellen's task. So Craig's got one too, and this is a filter. This is a board style. So the database can be viewed. The thing about Notion is that a database can be viewed as a board. It can be viewed as a list, a table, calendar, whatever. I quite like this board view for my tasks, but I could change it to a table if I wanted, but I'm not going to right now. And it's currently grouped by status. So I've got my not started, my in progress, and my waiting. Means that I'm waiting for a client. Complete, I'm not showing, so I'm currently hiding them because I really don't want to see like every single complete task. I just want it to go away. And when I'm creating a new task, I don't actually have any templates for tasks, which I should, but I don't. New task, so it could be like social posts for Bob. Who's the client? Again, links to the CRM. What's the priority, which is something that we introduced recently because the two of us working on things, like in my head, I knew when I was working on things alone what was high priority, but now with two of us, it was important that we could see what was high priority. The retainer, is it a content retainer? So I do content retainer services, but obviously project services. If it's a retainer, it links in there, and it just helps for the end of the billing cycle to understand what's been done. What's the status? These are in a bit of a weird order, but normally put that there. Is it linked to a website project? So is it a wireframe creation? Is it web copy? Is it an issue log? Whatever it is. what is the tags, and then again, these are the different kinds of things that we do. Is it a relevant Google Doc? Which days did I work on it? Is it linked to a certain meeting? So earlier I put in about meetings, and I said at that meeting these tasks were created, and that's where that would come up. So it would say this action was created, it's saying to me that this action was created because um, in the meeting on the 22nd of September, the client approved 3 more blog posts about whatever. What week did it take place in? And then that's obviously linking to my weekly journal that I talked about earlier. And content ideas, sometimes a task, if a client approves one of those ideas in the brain dump, then it will become a task. So hopefully that's useful. Sales and marketing is the last one. And this is kind of like, I hate kind of grouping these two things together, but this is where I put in the newsletter topics. So normally I don't really plan the newsletter topics, but if I come up with something that could be a good newsletter topic, then I'll put it in here. I'll just open it. This was the outcome of a webinar with Anna Codorado and Sean Meads-Williams, who did a newsletter strategy webinar, and there was marketing plan, content plan, business plan within there, and I think it's my content plan that I've actually done some stuff. Yeah, so I chucked in some ideas, and if I'm working on them right now, I'm currently working on that one got published. That's my Notion, so that's in progress, and again it's a board view, and that's kind of how I like that. You can make of that what you will. Brand assets, I've got all of the Content by the Sea brand assets, which previously obviously just saved on my computer, but now got them there for Craig so we can use them. Sales pipeline is a board where if inbound lead comes in, or outbound lead, but we don't do a lot of outbound lead generation. Inbound lead comes in, I'll put it in there, and the potential value, and then obviously move it along when it hopefully transpires into a client, and that then is linked to the CRM. So you go straight from the sales pipeline, you go do, and then you become part of the CRM. The LinkedIn toolkit is where I have got some blog ideas, I've got some weekly themes, and I've got webinar topics. It's all very, very similar. So content ideas, not LinkedIn, that's just Content by the Sea blogs, but not LinkedIn related. And I've got a link to the Sales Wiki, which, I haven't talked about Sales Wiki. Sales Wiki is where I keep my content, my contracts. So they're blank contracts that one of us could download. It's a link to the CRM, and there's also reports and proposals. So the last thing is reading and listening. That's where I put in, if I'm like, often I'll get like newsletters, and I'm a member of the Medium Corporation, so I might get like Medium emails, and I haven't got time to read them right now, so I'll just chuck them in here knowing that I'm going to read them in the future. And then sometimes if I really like it, that's in progress, I read that ages ago, I will rate it. I love that. So that's very simple. It could be a lot more built out. I know that Marie's like reading list is like much more developing this, but I just haven't managed to spend a huge amount of time on that yet. So hopefully, the only thing I haven't really gone through is CRM. So, this is just going to be a big blur to you, but you can see I'll have all the clients, what kind of project it is, and then on the last day of the month or the last couple of days of the month when I'm going to get ready to send my invoices, I know what the hourly rate is, I know how many meetings I attended for each client, I know how much they billed last month, whether the invoice was sent, this month, but I can obviously filter by last month as well, if the invoice was sent, if the invoice was paid, and how much I'm expected to make at the bottom. So that's really, really useful. And then all of that is accessible within here. Everything's linked together. It's definitely a work in progress. It's not, I'm definitely not in a position to say this is exactly how you do it, but this is what's helped me. So hopefully this is going to be of some help. It's ended up being quite a long video, but I'm going to edit it down. And just let me know if you've got any questions. You find me over on Twitter at Content by the Sea. Thank you.